All right. We live and direct. Live and direct. Live on 3 platforms. Live on Insta. Live on YouTube. Live on Inside Timer. Peace and blessings to everybody. Let me know who's in the house tonight. Is there a heart in the house tonight? Let me know if you're here. It's the bearded one. Live in the flesh. If you're here, let me know you're here. Say peace, say blessings, say greetings, say hotep, ashe, assalamu alaikum, aloha, konnichiwa, however you want to say it. Ohio, however you want to say it. We're going to begin in a few moments. Usually I'll start at around a 7-minute mark, give everybody an opportunity to hop on board. If you're here, just let me know you're here. Peace and blessings. And we'll get started real soon. Look like I'm having a little bit of an issue with my webcam. Look like we're having a little bit of an issue, but it ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. Hopefully it'll speed up. If you're here, let me know you're here. Say peace, say peace. What's going on, y'all? All right. Peace, peace. Insight Timer, what's going on? If you were here waiting, I apologize. I think there was a technical issue. I hit the start live. Wouldn't start right away. Justine, hello. All right, Instagram, what's going on? YouTube, what's going on? Hopefully everybody's doing good. Hopefully everybody's feeling blessed. Hopefully everybody had a great day today. Let me know how y'all feeling. Let me know how your day was. Today we got an interesting one. I was just putting the finishing touches on it. I think we're going to have some fun. So everybody who's here, just let me know you're here. Let me know where you're hailing from. Let me know everything's all right. Y'all good? Let me know if y'all good. My signal's good. All right, we'll get started in a couple of minutes. We're like 4 minutes deep on Inside Timer. I apologize. I think there was a glitch in the system. So y'all been waiting probably a couple of minutes. Canada, okay. Your day was stressful. Hopefully we get to relax a little bit. You know, this is it's a little late here. Here it's 11:11 p.m. I'm not sure what time it is over there. But yeah, hopefully we'll have some fun. Same time here? Okay, cool. My day was okay. I don't know why all day I was exhausted though. And I suspect it's because I cut my hair and trimmed my beard. I think my body acting a little bit strange. I needed some rest after, cutting off my mighty locks. But we good though. Glad I could be here with you guys. I got the crazy baby face. I look fresh. Thank you, Mooey. I got the chubby baby face. When I cut my hair, I was like, oh, I look too young and chubby now. Before I look like a grouchy old man, which I could handle. I don't want to look like a little baby. I don't want to look like a little baby. Thank you, Justine. All right, so we almost at the 6-minute mark. I'm just hanging out here. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure my mic is working. Mic check, mic check. Okay, yeah, we good. We good. We good. Excellent. Good to go. Now, why is it? Okay. So I gotta get closer or something? What's going on here? What's going on here? Okay. Can you hear me? Mic check, mic check. All right. Rita, glad you're here. Glad you're here with us, Rita. We'll get started in a couple of seconds. We're just waiting to see how many people come to join us. We'll get started momentarily. Hopefully everybody's feeling blessed, even in the chaos, even in the stressful moments. You know, try to find the inner peace. Once you create inner peace, you know, you can hold on to it. Where else do I stream from? Well, Inside Timer don't like me saying other name of other platforms, so I stream here. You might be able to find me on other platforms, but you know, Inside Timer wants me to refrain from promoting other things that are going on, that I got going on. Oh, okay, we're at the 7-minute mark on my end, so we can hop on in and get it popping. So, first of all, let me just say peace and blessings to everybody who showed up. Thank you so much for arriving. I think you guys on Inside Timer were a little bit earlier than me. I was here early. I was setting up, and I thought I hit the begin live stream button. So I think some of you guys were waiting, but I didn't show up immediately. But I showed up like maybe a minute afterward. I realized what was happening a minute or so in. So we're good. We're good to go. Glad you guys are here. Hope your days are blessed, and I hope whatever stress that you're feeling and experiencing will be reduced, and you can let go of it, or you can find the blessing in the stressing. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, let's get started. Tonight we're going to talk about chaos, right? And order. Principles of reality. Now, why is it important for us to talk about this? Well, we know the universe is a dimension of order. We know there are rules to the universe. We know that there are unshakable, immutable laws that the universe has. The law of gravity, right? And we know that gravity is attached to the law of mass. The more mass something has, the more density it has, the stronger the gravitational pull. So we're seeing that there's a principle behind that and a law behind that. Exactly, Shannon. Universal laws. Karma is a universal law. There are certain things that can't be shaken. Certain things that no matter what happened, these laws don't shift or change or bend or break for anybody. And the universe is sustained by these laws, by the certainty of these laws, the certainty of the principles of gravity and thermodynamics. These are principles: weak nuclear force, strong nuclear force. These are laws, and everything must submit to the divine law of the universe, right? And we often find refuge in these laws, right? When there's laws and there's rules, we appreciate that because things become comfortable when there's laws and rules. When things are predictable, that makes us feel safe. We feel safest when we know the outcome. When we know the outcome based upon laws and principles and mathematical laws and principles, that makes us feel that there's nothing to worry about. That makes us feel like our destiny is assured. We feel like peace is assured. Excuse me. And if we feel like peace is assured, we feel as if we can achieve more. We feel like things are limited amount of resources and life will go even further, and we can get more out of our limited resources and our limited time on this earth. And we spend less time stressing, right? And more time just falling into the pattern that is universal law, universal principle. There are unshakable law of vibration, law of gender, law of, I'm talking about these are laws and principles from a book called the Kybalion. And there's also laws and principles in modern day science. These things can't be shaken, right? So a lot of times when things happen that we don't expect, when life becomes unpredictable, when we're going through periods of change, those are extraordinarily stressful times because of the fragility of those moments where we don't know what's going to happen. And if we don't know what's going to happen, unfortunately, we don't know what's going to happen to us. If you're in a situation you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what's going to happen to you. There's a book, and this was my inner nerd is going to come out for a second. There's a book called Dune by a science fiction writer named Frank Herbert. And the first quote in the book, he said something about how delicate beginnings are. Everything has to be just right. Everything has to be just perfect in order for the beginning of a story to be properly written, right? The beginning is so delicate. When you go to a new phase in life, at the beginning of that new phase, things are so delicate. You feel as if life is so precarious. At any given moment, it could be going like that, right? So everything seems so vulnerable, and you seem so vulnerable. Your finances seem vulnerable. Your situation seems, everything is vulnerable in the beginning of a new phase. And at those moments, that's when we freak out and we panic and we run back to the comfort of what's predictable, right? Even in relationships, you could be in a toxic relationship with somebody who treats you like dirt, right? But just the familiarity of it, the pattern of it, knowing the ins and outs of it, even when you're unhappy and miserable, being in a familiar environment can make you feel safer than facing the unknown, right? And that's the downside of order. The downside of order is the fact that predictability makes us stop evolving. Predictability makes it so that you cannot evolve, you cannot improve yourself, and honestly, you stay the same. If you follow only the principles of order, you will stay the same. But what if you need to change? And what if within you is the seed for human evolution so that we can take it to the next level? What if you are needed and if you're necessary to tap into your genius so that you can change things for the rest of us? And that's where chaos comes in. Chaos exists, unpredictability exists, entropy exists, because anything's possible. And we're going to go into that in a little bit. And there's an ancient Kemet, which the Greeks came later on and called it Egypt. An ancient Kemet, in that society, there were two principles that governed everything, right? One was the principle of Ma'at. Ma'at was depicted as a goddess with beautiful, colorful wings and a crown on her head. And Ma'at was the goddess of order, justice, balance, reciprocity, right? There was another another principle called Isfet. Isfet is the principle of chaos, disorder, injustice, and entropy. Now, both of them are equally important to the balance of the universe, which means that pain and disorder is just as important to our spiritual development as harmony and predictability and mathematical principles. Now, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially if you've gone through intense trauma, you've been through hardship in life. Nobody wants to believe that the door to your inner divinity and the door to your personal evolution lies in the things that you've gone through, especially when you've been through horrible things. You lose loved ones. You see individuals get shot and killed. I mean, some of us have struggled so hard in life and seen so many damning things in life that the idea that within those hard times lies the seed of personal evolution and collective evolution. That's a hard pill to swallow. Well, let's look a little bit deeper into it. And I want us to just free our minds from the ideas that we've been taught to believe. Let's just let that go for a moment. And let's just keep our minds open on just absorbing information and think about things in a new way. Okay? Let go of what you've been taught and let's examine some new ideas. Now, in science, there's a principle called entropy, symbolized by Isfet, as I mentioned. What is entropy? Entropy is the principle that everything, because of movement, because that things are happening, because of time and space and all that stuff, because of movement, there's going to be a dissipation of energy, useful energy and matter. So as things are happening, as the sun is burning, as the moon is going around the earth, as the earth is giving up food that we need, all of these objects, all this matter, all these processes are giving up useful energy, which means that they are slowly but surely dying. The sun is giving up energy. It's burning. It's been burning for billions of years, but eventually, because of entropy, it's going to burn out. It's going to give up so much of its energy that it's going to cease to burn any longer and turn into darkness and become a black hole and suck up all the life in the solar system into it because of its density, right? Same thing with the Earth. The Earth is a mind-blowing mechanism of sustenance for human beings. However, one day the day is going to come where the earth is no longer going to have drinkable water. It's no longer going to have plants for us to eat or fresh air. So everything that is putting out life-giving energy, that energy inevitably is going to dissipate, and the useful energy is going to be exhausted, and it's going to eventually deteriorate and die. That's a principle of reality. That's called entropy, right? But entropy, the idea that anything could happen, the idea that things are dying, believe it or not, entropy, one scientist believes, is actually the principle that helped to create life in the universe. Now, I know that a lot of us might be spiritual. You might believe in a higher power. You might believe in God, which I do. But let's examine this from a scientific perspective. Now, there's one physicist named Jeremy England. Whenever I research these, I always make sure I cite my sources and tell you where I got the information from so you can look it up yourself. His name is Jeremy England. He's a physicist who attended MIT. Jeremy England believes that life exists because of entropy. As these celestial bodies give up their useful energy, there's a dissipation of energy. The energy is leaving the body of the sun. The energy is leaving the body of the stars. The energy is leaving the body of the earth. Well, guess what happens to all of that energy? It goes into the objects around it, right? And when it goes into the objects around it and raises the temperature of the objects around it, what happens? That energy becomes the life force of living beings. So that entropy, that energy from everything around us, goes into us and brings us into being. Your body is the sun. The elements at the core of the sun, the core of stars, have come here to the earth and made you. And elements from the earth have come out of the earth and made you. When you're eating food, you are taking elements of earth and put it into your body. When certain elements in your body get depleted, you use food to refuel it and replace those elements. So it is that principle of entropy that not only created us, but sustains us. So this chaos theory, that everything deteriorates, that everything dies, that is the underlying principle that created life in the first place. Stop for a second. Entropy is so important that it created life. We cling to order, cling to balance, and we should. Well, we should, because self-preservation is the first principle of nature. Well, we should strive to hold on to balance, justice, order, reciprocity. We should hold on to those things, but we should not fear its fate, because it is the principle of deterioration, the principle of the unexpected, the principle of the uncontrolled that works in harmony with the principles of order to bring us into being. We came into being as a pretty much a miracle. Think about it. You are an animate matter. And somehow there's a life force within you that creates your consciousness so that you can operate through this three-dimensional space that we call the universe. That's a miracle. So the principles that we are afraid of unpredictability and chaos, those principles that we're so nervous about are actually a blessing to us. It brought us forth into being. That's the amazing part about it, is that entropy creates life. And the ancients knew this. The ancients knew that entropy was a part of life. That's why ancient Kemet, they had those two principles, Ma'at and Isfet. And they believed, the ancient Egyptians, and some of their teachings, they believed that the sun was the creator of the world and the sun was the creator of all life. The ancients knew that. They may not have used the same scientific vocabulary that we use now. They may have used a different symbol system. But at the end of the day, what they were basically saying is that energy from the sun has come into us and it created us and keeps us alive. It is that principle of Isfet, that principle of chaos working with order, that brought us forth into being. So don't be afraid of chaos. And it can be scary at times, but understand that principle of Isfet is a part of the creative process. There are some people who believe that these principles and these symbols are just principles and symbols, and they're not gods. Ma'at, they believe that Ma'at is not really a goddess, that Isfet is not really a god, that they're really just various symbols to symbolize an overarching higher life form or life force that created all things and brought all things into being. Peace, how you doing? Free Band Mayor, how you doing? So many of us, life, peace is going on. So many of us are afraid when things go left. Sometimes you got to ride that wave of fear. Keep in mind, there are individuals who talk about riding the wave, ride the wave of energy, ride the wave of positivity, ride the wave of negativity, right? Why is that? Why do we talk about waves? Because that's how reality is created. Reality is created. Great advice. I'm glad you like that, Madge. Reality is created because there are waves of energy all around us, and our consciousness collapses the energy, these waves, into atoms. So consciousness is literally taking chaos and forming order out of it. And we do the exact same thing. We take chaos and we make order out of it. And that's how we change ourselves and change our lives. Don't be afraid of chaos. Scientists also say that evolution happens due to entropy. Mutations can occur. See, we have this thing called natural selection where, certain traits are beneficial in particular environments. So you might have somebody who's sine wave. Exactly. We have individuals who may be tall in an environment where people are getting fruit out of trees. A tall individual, tall, lanky dude comes in handy. All the women want to date the tall, lanky guy. So they have a whole bunch of tall, lanky kids. That comes in handy. And that makes it so that we take a step forward and we begin to change and make mutations. That's natural selection. However, there are certain instances in which we see big leaps forward for human beings. There's gigantic leaps. There's periods in time where you might see human beings, look back in history, see human beings living on one level, and then all of a sudden, within a span of a couple hundred years, all of a sudden you see these gigantic, massive leaps. Like imagine the 1900s. Imagine 1900 compared to the year 2000. We took a huge leap in technology and global commerce and military technology and health technology. We took a huge leap, right? And the same thing can happen in our personal lives because of the principle of entropy, because of chaos. The fact that chaos exists sometimes is scary, but chaos exists to remind you anything's possible. You can not only live in peace and harmony, but you can also actually make huge advancements during periods of chaos. I mean, I read some article that was saying during COVID, when everything was shut down, a lot of people was afraid and freaking out, but there were some individuals who came up during COVID and became millionaires. The number of millionaires went up so high, and the individuals who were already billionaires, their wealth went through the roof. They rode that wave of entropy. Anything is possible, even especially during those times where things seem dark and bleak. We can go so far during those dark times. We can develop so much during those dark times. We can make massive leaps in our personal evolution at those hard moments where it seems like everything is going in the wrong direction. You'll be surprised at what you can do when you gather yourself and look at the resources you have within yourself and utilize that so you can move forward. Now, keep in mind also, too, in those dark times, something is happening in the environment that jeopardizes the species. And that's when we make huge leaps forward. That's when something happens within us in our DNA. And there's a science fiction book called The Great and Secret Show by Clive Barker. I read that when I was probably 15. He talked about this thing called a nuncio cell. Now, of course, that's not real, but something like that kind of happens within our bodies. During hard times, you either fall apart or you get stronger and you adapt. Clive Barker in his book, The Great and Secret Show, was saying that there's these nuncio cells, and these cells are kind of like messenger cells that go throughout the body and help you evolve. And he just figured out the character in the book, this guy called the Jafe, figured out that you could take these cells, these nuncio cells, and use them so you can become super powerful, right? Well, the same thing is happening within you. You have DNA that is not being expressed in your body. And sometimes during hard times, you can tap into that DNA energy and figure out ways to become stronger, more powerful. How you can live longer. There's a thing called epigenetics, where you have certain expressed and unexpressed genes in your body, in your DNA, and certain things around you and certain things that you take into your body can actually change your DNA. That's why for a very long time I've been trying to get off Western medication. I just want the plants because I feel like, man, got to be a natural way, somehow, some way where I could change certain things about my body. I know for a fact since I stopped taking certain medicines, I don't get sick. I don't get sick. Like, and now when I feel like a little cough or whatever, as soon as I feel a little tickle in my throat, I'm taking shots of apple cider vinegar and eating plants. Give me some jalapeno peppers. Give me some. I used to make tea out of raw ginger. I used to take the ginger root, chop it, eat it raw, and then put some in a pot, warm that up with some water, and drink that. I really haven't been sick in years. I had like a little cough at one point because I know like 2 years ago I had like a cough. I took a shower and ran out the house like an idiot into the cold. And it was the middle of winter to grab something out of my car. And I had like a little, I was kind of like a little cough for like a week or so. Oil oregano. Yeah, everybody been telling me oil oregano. And then there's another one they say that's good for blood pressure. I keep forgetting to grab it. I think, what is it? I forgot the name of it. I got to find it. But yeah, I'm taking plants now. These plants are not only healing us, but they give us the ability to tap into things in our DNA. Epigenetics. What is in your environment is altering your DNA. When there's stress in your environment, that alters your DNA. That's why individuals who live in certain areas have high blood pressure. They have more rates of diabetes because there's things in their environment that are killing them, whether it's the air, the food, whatever. Now imagine if you change what you eat. That's going to alter your DNA in different ways. That's chaos. If everything was a certain way and remained that way, you wouldn't have the ability to heal yourself. Black seed oil. Thank you, my brother. Gave me the answer. Black seed oil. Yes. Let me write that down. I keep forgetting. Black seed oil. I'm about to get some of that ASAP. Thank you. Okay. So like I was saying, we can take huge leaps forward during hard times. That's what the book of Revelation is about. Here we go, right? When I was putting this together earlier, I was putting my notes together. I was like, let me keep it simple. Let me keep it basic. I don't need to go all crazy and go all. And then as I'm writing it, and I tell y'all all the time, it's not me talking, it's the ancestors. A lot of this I don't even come up with. It'd be the ancestors. And as I'm putting this together, I'm like, oh, wait a second. I hear that voice in my head, like, yo, the book of Revelation. Right? Now we're gonna get a little mystical. We started off scientific, we're gonna get a little bit of mystical with it. For those of y'all who were listening to hip hop, say 20 years ago, don't hold back. Rich, I can hold back, Rich. I got you. But if y'all was listening to hip hop like 20 years ago with mixtapes, there was a dude named DJ Clue. And DJ Clue would come on songs and he would talk over the beat and you would hear him do this laugh. He'd be like, ha ha, do remember new Jay-Z? Like that's how the voice was in my head. It was like, ha ha, do remember Book of Revelation? But the Book of Revelation is specifically talking about that. The Book of Revelation is a manual to expedite the evolutionary process so that the Son of Man can become a God. You remember that, Madge? Cool. You remember that? But like I was saying, the Book of Revelation is a manual to expedite evolution so the Son of Man can become a God. If you read the Book of Revelation carefully, it's full of all kinds of symbols and symbology. Why isn't it just telling us directly? Because what it's really doing is breaking down the spiritual science of how we can make ourselves more divine. Now, what it's talking about is changes and shifts in the environment that are going to become so cataclysmic that the Son of Man is going to have to evolve or die. It talks about how half the water in the world becomes toxified, right? It talks about stars falling from the sky. It talks about all kinds of cataclysms taking place, wars and rumors of war, disease, pestilence, right? All of these things are going to happen. And at the climax of these things, the Son of Man is going to arrive. And if you read the Bible, he went from being the Prince of Peace when he was alive. They crucified him and he returned. He'll become the God of war. And he'll become the arbiter of chaos as well as the harbinger of order. That's when you develop the perfect balance, when Jesus Christ becomes destructive in order to restore balance in the universe. And I'm not saying it from a Christian religious perspective. I'm saying that from a perspective of spiritual science. When you go through hard times, you will die as the Prince of Peace, somebody who can't fight or who refuses to fight, sacrifices themselves, be reborn as the God of war, and you'll be able to perfectly balance those two principles of Isfet and Ma'at, order and chaos, entropy and sustenance. You will embody both of those principles. It won't be an issue of you simply trying to strive for order anymore. When you become a true divine being within yourself and tap into your own divinity, you'll realize that both are necessary and that you are the God of both. You are the God of war and peace. You are the God of balance and chaos. You could bring total peace to the room and you can flip this whole joint upside down. You'll tap into your true power. That's what raw power is. Raw power ain't always no goody. Keep in mind, we have great leaders and great heroes who were warriors. We have great leaders and great heroes and heroines who will stand for justice and fight for peace, and they will bring war. And you have to be ready and willing to bring war as well, and not in a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense. In order to have true balance in your life, you have to exhibit the principles of both. Sometimes your life needs to be wiped clean. There's certain people in your life right now, you got to wipe them out. Chaos, total chaos. Everybody getting it. Everybody about to get it right now. There's certain individuals in your life right now, you need to extinguish those connections, and you need to completely make them go extinct in your life. Not saying hurt nobody, but certain people got to get jettisoned out your life now. And then there's certain individuals in your life, you got to bring peace and order to them. They need you to bring a sense of peace and order and harmony in your life. And you got to balance both, and you have to use discernment and wisdom so that you can be both. You want to be Ma'at and Isfet, chaos and order, light and darkness. It says that in the Bible. I mentioned that. I think I mentioned that last week. I think it was in the book of Isaiah where it was saying that God was telling them, I bring the light and the darkness. I bring good and evil. Tighten up your circle quick. That's right, Dana. Exactly. And that's what we're talking about. The need for chaos. In Hinduism, they believe that there's what they call a trimurti. What's a trimurti? Trimurti is three gods that personify the dynamic of the universe. There is Vishnu, there's Brahma, the creator. So the creative force, the all in all, the yin and yang, exactly. The creative force, the all in all, the pervasive life force of all reality, the essence of all things, that's Brahma. Then you have Vishnu, the preserver. So when the universe comes into being, and it's the principles of Vishnu that makes it so that the universe can survive and be held together by the principles and the laws of universal law and physics, right? Then you have Shiva, the god of destruction, who really plants the seeds for creation. And every single time the universe is brought forth into being, it's wiped out and obliterated, and it comes right back again, but it comes back and brings forth newer, more advanced spiritual beings. It's helping you gain clarity. I'm glad. I'm very glad it's helping you gain clarity. Now, in the book of Revelation, it talks about pestilence and famine. What can that teach us, right? Well, what is famine? Famine means no water. It talks about the water. Famine means no food, right? Can't grow food, not enough water, or there's something in a particular place that's toxifying the soil. The soil could be exhausted. The nutrients in the soil could be exhausted, so you can't grow food. So that makes it famine, right? Pestilence, right? War. Another one of the horsemen, right? And it also talks about how there's a lack of water. There's a lack of water. What is that telling you? Well, the book of Revelation, like I always tell everybody when I do these live streams, when you read these holy texts, understand these holy texts are autobiographical. They were written about our personal spiritual journey. So don't read it like you're reading about St. John. You're reading about you. When you read about Jesus, you're reading about you. When you read about King David, you're reading about you. That's why the Bible resonates so much, because there's so much in it for us to take out of it, right? So all these things are happening in the world, and that brings forth the Son of Man. Well, guess what? That has to happen within you in order to bring forth your inner divinity. Watch what you eat. Famine. Don't be a glutton. Control your food. Control how much food you take in. Ration your food. Don't overeat, and don't eat toxins. That's what they mean by famine. Sometimes you gotta fast. During the famine, you can't get no food. That's telling you sometimes you gotta fast. Pestilence. Pestilence is disease. Now, it's not telling you that you have to get a disease in order to become enlightened, but you have to face disease. And some of us have mental diseases, mental illness. Some of us have physical diseases. And believe it or not, the mind, the brain, the body, all of it is working together. So if you have certain physical ailments, you're going to have certain mental ailments automatically anyway. So just like you have to regulate your food, and sometimes you got to fast, you got to make sure you're eating proper food as well. That's how you face pestilence. You face pestilence by coming forth with the medicine. And the medicine is in the plants and the food that you consume, as well as what you consume with your mind, the things you're watching, the music you're listening to, all of that. Those have diseases in them too. Don't forget, certain vibrations can change your DNA, and certain vibrations can make you sick. Certain music can make you sick. We talked about that before too. I did a live stream called Musing Music, where I was breaking down how certain vibrations could tap into your body and induce calm, and some of them can tap into your body and induce violence and aggression. And sometimes, if you know how to channel it, that violence and aggression could come in handy. They turn our inside out into an outer deity. Yep, exactly. And that aggression can be properly channeled. I'm not saying don't listen to aggressive music. When I'm in the gym, I'm listening to aggressive music, right? But I'm not going to take that energy and turn around and bring it to somebody in my real life and physically harm somebody and get amped up and high and drunk and pop somebody because I hear a song about it. You got to learn how to channel that. War, that's another one of the four horsemen. You got to go to war within yourself. Our Muslim brothers call that a jihad. But people misinterpret it and think jihad means terrorism. Nah, jihad means you're going to spiritual war within self. That's how the Son of Man within you is going to appear. You got to go to war. You got an addiction to alcohol, you got to go to war. You got an addiction to sex and you can't overcome it, go to war. You got an addiction to pornography, go to war. Can't seem to stop smoking weed, you got to go to war. And shout out and salute to everybody who's going to war right now. I used to work with kids at a drug rehab facility who were addicted to drugs to the point where they couldn't even sleep. They couldn't sleep because they was in the rehab, they couldn't get high. So these kids, I used to work third shift, these kids be popping up, walking around, drinking water, using the bathroom, couldn't sleep. And I used to feel for them. Like, damn, this cat, you can't even get a good night's rest. But they made the decision to go to war. And sometimes when you go to war, you can't sleep. Shout out to those young men. Some of them young men were forced to be there, but they did what they had to do and handle what they had to handle. Shout out to those young brothers. Shout out to anybody who struggled with addiction. Shout out to anybody who struggled with alcoholism. Shout out to anybody who fought that demon of being addicted to pornography. Or some people get addicted to drama. Some people are addicted to toxic relationships. Shout out to everybody who went on that jihad. Right? So what we're talking about is moving forward in life. Tapping into your inner divinity through hardship. It's when things get hard that we evolve. These principles, chaos and order, they're a part of our personal development. And when we find that sweet spot in between the two of them, that helps us to know our divinity. But in order to get there, you got to embrace chaos. Evolution is chaos. Mutation, chaos. Entropy, chaos. I remember one time I had started my business. I was teaching mindfulness and meditation. And I was going to, it's like, I think it was my second day after I opened up the business. I'm walking, and I used to work at this place in my hometown, Hartford, Connecticut. I used to work at a school. Simpson Waverly School. They shut it down now, but I'm walking out of Simpson Waverly School. Something was wrong with my car. I walked somewhere real quick to get a slice of pizza. There's a place called Burger and Pizza Land. Got a slice of cheese pizza. And as I'm waiting for my pizza, I turn and I look, and there's a library in this little plaza right next to Burger and Pizza Land. And I just went in there. Something said, "Go in there. Go in there real quick." I went in there and I said, "Hey, I went to the lady at the desk and I said, "Hey, I have a company where I teach mindfulness and meditation. Can I teach a class? I'll do it for free." She said, "Sure." She took my information. I got my slice of pizza. I went back to work. Hartford, that's right. I went back to work. And before I even got back to work, I got a phone call. Connecticut. Ben, you from Connecticut? Peace, peace. Yeah, Richard, yeah, trust me. But like I was saying, before I even got back to my job, I got a phone call. I'm like, "Hello?" And a woman who I gave my phone number to was like, "Hey, I was thinking, you want to get paid, don't you?" I said, "Well, if you guys have the funds to pay me, sure." She's like, "Well, not only will we pay you, but why don't you call this person and tell them that you want to teach meditation at all the libraries over the course of the summer?" So that became like a real big thing. My company, I just opened up my company, and then like within 2 days, I think I taught 14 classes in meditation over that summer. So just me walking into a place, embracing chaos, not sticking to my usual schedule, somebody said, "Hey, here's a job opportunity for you." And I didn't get filthy rich off of it, but I made like 2-3 grand off of that or something like that. And with a business I just opened, no clientele, I had no business experience at all. I just had a lot of years of experience in mindfulness and meditation. So it was really interesting how embracing chaos put me in that position. Put me in a position where I ended up making money off of it and helping people and making connections with kids. Embrace chaos. Same thing when I was at work at the same job at the school. I'm walking out of the building. There was a guy who I used to work with all the time. Real good dude, Aristide Hill. I'm coming out the building. I've seen this brother who knows how many times. But as I'm coming out the building, I see him and something said, "Go speak to him." I embrace chaos. Went over to him, spoke to him a little bit, and he ended up becoming like my business mentor. Connected me to a lot of people, gave me a lot of really good ideas, helped me to organize my business even more so. Helped me to take it to a whole new level. I embrace chaos. But if you embrace chaos for your blessings, you got to be willing to handle it when things don't go your way. One time I had I had my job, my business. Somebody was like, "Yeah, we're going to pay you. We just need you to send us a W-9 form. And as soon as you send it to us, then we can send you the check." I'm like, "All right, bet, cool." So I'm at the school. I had to get a W-9 form and print it out. Now, I used to work at a school. There's computers everywhere at the school. There's printers everywhere. And at the exact moment where I needed to print something off the computer, all the computers shut down. I went from classroom to study hall to the computer lab, trying to find one computer in the business so I could send this email. None of them worked. Then on my lunch break, I shot down the street to the library to use the computer there. None of their computers worked. Then I tried to send the email from my phone. Usually I can't get a signal inside that building, right? So I go outside and wave the phone up in the air and I usually get a signal. I couldn't even get a signal outside. I'm like, "What the heck going on? This is crazy." That's chaos. And I'm mad. I'm running around. I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" But then I said, "You know what? I just accept it." Chaos has put me in a situation where I've made money. It's put me in a situation where it slowed things down. But it never stopped me. And that's another thing that I want you guys to understand. When you embrace chaos, you have to trust yourself. You have to develop yourself. Develop yourself so that you won't become so afraid and so paralyzed with terror when things don't go your way. Develop yourself so you won't be outraged and make mistakes. Sometimes things don't go your way. You get mad, you get upset, and you end up flipping on somebody. You end up missing out on money, missing out on opportunities, missing out on blessings, missing out on connections. So that's why self-development is a very important part of this. And that's essentially what we're talking about: spiritual evolution, spiritual development. We want you to become the all in all, become the Son of Man that evolves into God or a God, right? Into a state of oneness. So that's why I say embrace chaos. I'm not saying throw the rules out, because we need them. I'm not saying get rid of the rules forever. We need them. But we have to find that sweet spot where we can balance chaos and order in ourselves and outside of ourselves. All right. Master your emotions, walking on water. Exactly. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Riding the wave. Yo, thank you, my brother. That's the perfect way of putting it. You said walk on water. We talking about riding the wave. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. You brought it all together with that one. Peace, my brother. What's going on, Tribal Chief Los? Thank you for the donation, Rob. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you. All right, everybody. So it's almost midnight now. Oh man, I felt tired all day, but I'm glad I got that off my chest. The ancestors was with me. The ancestors was with me. Yeah, I got a little trimmage. I cut the beard down a little bit. I look like a little fat baby. But yeah, let everybody go. It was been a beautiful evening. Peace and blessings to all of y'all. Peace and blessings to Insight Timer. Peace and blessings on Instagram. It's been a wonderful evening. Thank y'all for joining me. And I will see y'all again next week. Same time, same bat channel. And I want you guys to just think about, I want you guys to just think